All right, here's how I'm looking at the Niners draft. All right. It's really 2 drafts. Because what you do is you put a few drafts together, and that's how you decide if your team's going to be any good. Now, in 22, they got Brock. In 23, they had a disastrous draft, so I'm not even looking at those. But what you've got to do is you look at the best teams in the league, and they put like 2 or 3 drafts together. That's what starts happening. It's like all of a sudden, these guys are hitting 2, 3, 4 drafts together, and you're like, okay, now we're cooking with gas. Suffice to say that outside of Brock in 22 and 23, not having those first-round picks because of trading Trey, major problem. So look at 24 real quick. Ricky Pearsall, we're hoping, had just a really weird year. We know that. Renardo Green, I think he's being massively overlooked. All these guys trying to put mocks together were like corner. And it was like, Renardo Green had a good year last year, especially for a rookie. He's got to take another step up. But they took him in the second round. And when you're the 49ers and you're saying, look, it's all about the draft and you're letting players go and all those kind of things, that means that the guys that you drafted, they have to play. And Renardo Green showed enough promise. So Green's going to start. Pooney's going to start. Malik Mustafa, that knee's a killer. I don't know where he is in that rehab space, but when he comes back, he's a starter. So I'm going to call him a positive, even though I know we're dealing with a knee. Guerendo, I don't know if he's going to be ready to be the guy behind Christian McCaffrey, which is an important position. I like Jordan James, the guy that they drafted out of Oregon. I think he's going to be the 2. Guerendo's going to be the 3. 𝐽𝐿, I'm just not a huge fan. I don't think he fits what the 49ers do. I'm not sure why they drafted him. They drafted him for speed, but he's far too small to me, and he didn't impress me on kick and punt returns, which is what his calling card was supposed to be. And then they drafted another guy, the 49ers this year, that's supposed to be a return guy. Kingston, whatever, Bethune, whatever. The first, Pearsall, Green, Pooney, Mustafa, Guerendo, I think are going to be anywhere from really good to starter or to contributor. 𝐽𝐿, Kingston, Bethune, 𝐽𝐿, I'm just not holding out a lot of hope for. All right, let's go to this year's draft, and this is how you put it together. Mikael Williams, as we said, high upside. Alfred Collins, I told you this yesterday. I got really nervous because I went to NFL.com to look back at his attributes, positive, negatives, everything like that. Lance Zierlein, who's a guy out of Houston, does a really good job with the draft. He did the analysis, positive, negatives on Alfred Collins, who's 6'6", 332 out of Texas. And his comp was Javon Kinlaw. Nick Barton coming off a major injury, but still, or not a major injury, but coming off injury a lot of last year, but super fast. I'm okay with that. Upton Stout scares me because he's just not very big. I mean, you're putting him in the slot at about 5'8", 185, 190 pounds, and people are putting out videos, Upton Stout's getting ready. Well, when Seattle puts Cooper Kupp in the slot, who's 6'3", and Arizona does the same thing, teams are just going to go, okay, if you're going to put a 5'8", 5'9" guy in the slot, and he might be feisty and he might be tough, and he might be, K'Waun Williams, which is what you hope for, that kind of a guy, not very big, but really tough. He can come off the corner and blitz off the slot. He can stop the run, all those kind of things. He's a tough guy. But they're going to put size in the slot against the Niners, and it means Demo's an outside corner, even though he's a great inside corner. So by drafting that guy, he's a one-trick pony. He's an inside corner. He's a slot corner. You're not going to put him outside at his size. It's just not going to work. So you're forced to put Demo on the outside basically full-time, which is fine if that works. But this kid's a 3rd-round pick, and this is what I'm looking at. Mikael Williams got to be a starter and great from day one. Alfred Collins has got to stop the run from day one. Nick Martin, to me, if again you're taking a guy that high, 75th overall, he's got to be standing next to Fred Warner. He's got to be a starter day one. Upton Stout in the slot day one. CJ West, I'm not saying he's Alfred Collins. He's 6'2". He's listed about 6'2", 317. I'd love to have him next to Alfred Collins, and they have a couple of big guys inside that can hopefully stop the run, eat up some double teams, and allow the linebackers to get to the football. So I'm thinking he's going to be a starter. Jordan Watkins, more of a slot guy, lots of speed at 4.37 as the Niners go for speed again and try to figure it out. The Danny Grays of the world have not worked out. So color me skeptical just because with this regime, when they've tried that mid-round speed receiver, it hasn't worked out. They've tried it a couple of times. Jordan James, I'm high on. I love that pick at 147. Marquez Single, I don't know enough about him. I didn't see him a lot at Kansas State. I've looked at some tape on him. Because Mustafa is out, I'm sure that necessitated that pick to think that maybe you get some depth at that position. Rourke, and you start thinking, quarterback 7th round, he's going to be another Brock. He was okay at Indiana. Didn't love him, but that's okay. I don't mind where he's picked up. And then the last couple of guys, again, you're talking 7th rounders, even though they've had some success there. Bergen is a guy who is a return guy. So you just took 𝐾𝐿 and his main reason why he's on the roster to me, because he's just not big enough to be a 49ers type receiver, blocking and the physicality and the type of things they ask the receivers to do. So he's kind of a mismatch. And so he's a special teams guy in the 7th round, though, this year at 252. And again, that's a flyer. That's another return guy. So the reason I wanted to bring up the 2 drafts and not just the 1 draft is because these are the young players that are going to have to fill positions this year. They have no choice. They let a bunch of guys go. So it's not just saying, okay, rookies are going to play, but let's look at that group of guys. Williams got to start, Collins got to start, Martin's got to start, Stout's got to start, West has got to start. I think that. And then contributions, James, I think, is a second back. Watkins, as I said, the other guy's a bunch of flyers. Pearsall has got to be really good this year. Bernardo Green has got to be a starting good corner. Dominic Puni, we don't even talk about. Mustafa probably won't be back till midseason. Guerrero, I think, is a third back still this year. Could be wrong. Cowing's got to step it up and be a great return guy because I don't think he's going to be a player that's going to be on the field on the regular. Now, could he do some of the things Debo did? He's built completely different from Debo, but what I mean is with his speed, can he do some jet sweeps? Can they get him the ball in space, some bubble screens, smoke screens, things like that, and he runs afterwards? Yeah, he's not going to break the tackles that Debo did, but that's if I'm the 49ers, I don't think Cowing's going to win on the regular. So can I develop ways to get him the football and use his speed? Possibly. So there's that. So, but what I'm pointing out here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. There's 13 guys between those 2 drafts that at the very least I'm expecting contributions. And in Williams, Collins, Martin, Stout, West, Pearsall, Green, Puni, I'm expecting those guys to start and play a lot of snaps. So that's like 10 guys that I'm expecting to start and play a lot of snaps. And if they don't, I'm not sure what's going to happen with the 49ers. That's how important the last 2 drafts are. And like I said, it'd be great if other, they got a veteran to beat them out. They don't. They don't have a veteran to beat them out. They've decided that, we're going to let these guys go and we're going to do some pruning on the tree. And we don't, our finances, we're going to reset them for a year. Doesn't mean we don't want to win. But what it does mean is, especially like let's use Alfred Collins and CJ West. Kevin Givens can play 20 snaps a game. It's been proven. If you play him more than that, he's about 285 pounds, a small guy. He's going to get worn down. That's just how it is. Jordan Elliott wasn't very good last year. He wasn't as advertised. Came over from Cleveland, supposed to be a run stuffer, was in that Cleveland defense. Him and Dalvin Tomlinson, remember that game 2 years ago? It was miserable for Brock Purdy against Cleveland. Debo gets hurt early. Those 2 guys inside dominated the 49ers. That's why they picked up Jordan Elliott. So maybe Elliott starts over one of those guys, but I can tell you the 2 guys they drafted, Alfred Collins as a second-round pick has got to start and be effective. And CJ West, who I really like, has got to be a major part of the rotation inside. They've left themselves really no margin for error there.